All right, new ship. New ship. New sus. Or something has invaded us here today, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the OCG list effective from April 1st. What is this, some kind of joke? What is this, some kind of joke? Well, some of you might think so. I do know what's on this list, but I guess it's worth going through anyway. Let's have a little discussion about, first of all, the big changes here. First one is that we're getting an errata, putting Summon Sorc straight from 0 to 3. Summon Sorc is coming back to the game. Now, previously, Summon Sorc worked by summoning a monster. Target face a monster this card points to... Okay, so first of all, it's on summon. You special monster from your hand in defense to your opponent's zone. And then you can target a face up monster this points to. So you give them something from your hand to their field. You point to it based on the arrows. You know, make sure you summon it in the right zone. You special monster from your deck in defense with the same type as that. But its effects negated. That's it. There's no restrictions on it whatsoever, basically. So they went and they errata summon Sorceress. So now it special summons a monster with the same type as that monster from your deck in defense. And you cannot special for the rest of his turn except monster with the same original type as that monster summoned from the deck. And you can only use each effects of this card's name once per turn. I don't think that's too different, but yeah. So this like opens up a crazy whole can of worms, right? Number one, erratas. Are erratas good? Should erratas exist? In a physical trading card game that is, you know, not really online, or at least, well, technically it is now with Mastodon, but primarily starting off as a main paper, you know, physical card game, are erratas good? I would say no, because having a bunch of different editions of random cards running around is kind of confusing. And it also becomes like a weird situation where it's like, what do you choose to errata and what do you not errata? We can errata Summon Sorc, but like, why don't we errata something else? Right? Like, why does Summon Sorc get the errata treatment, but maybe some other card like Block Dragon that's banned, that isn't going to come back for whatever reason, why don't they errata that card? Etc., etc. So it really comes down to, like, it becomes a gray area, slippery slope where everyone gets to, like, you know, gets to be upset that the card that they like doesn't get an errata. Or even then, some would say that erratas ruin cards. Because look what they did to Sinister Serpent, for example. Hell, you could argue, like, maybe Sangan didn't need an errata. Although I think maybe Sangan probably should have been errata, right? Imagine pre-errata Sangan today would probably still find a lot of good uses with things like Almirage. But anyway, the point is this is a whole other debate in and of itself, and I don't want to spend too long talking about it, but I just think it's really strange that they're, like, using erratas again and making it a bit of a thing. Now, one thing I will say, however... Now, one thing I will clarify is that while Summon Sorc has been errata, people have been, like, commenting on this card is very good, by the way. This card is very good. The only difference is that this errata made Summon Sorc not giga broken. Now it's not omega fucked. Now it's just a good card, okay? Like, there's a big difference. Now, it's still, like, I would say too powerful. Generally, anything that generically summons from the extra deck, from the main deck, is ridiculous. Generic monster that summons from the main... This is a ridiculous card. This is, like, I think this is kind of broken. But at least it's not giga-fucked anymore. So, you know, it's it's still very, very good. Alright, let's move on. So, they put Gear Suit up to 3. Glad that they're doing a little bit of a tidy up of the semi-limited list. I think we have Gear Suit at 3 in TCG, right? It was just Harp that was banned forever. That card is at 1. So, my official prediction is Harp will eventually go to 2 or 3. In the next list for us next week or whenever. Hopefully, we get something in April. Supreme King Dragon Dartworm going up to 3 here. I was shocked when I saw this because I didn't realize this card was even semi-limited in OCG. So, okay, great. So, these are kind of just nothing changes so far. Rite of Aramacer. This is kind of cool. I do like the Aramesa package. Although, do I conceptually? I'm trying to think. A generic Omni-Negate package. Do we, I don't know. Do we actually like that, chat? You could argue that that's actually not very healthy for the game, couldn't you? Oh, Griffin is banned in OCG? Why the hell is this thing sitting at 2 for so long? Okay. Well, I was just thinking in the concept, I was just thinking in the context of Mastodon, if this might mean something. Maybe they'll, like, slowly bump this up a little bit in Mastodon. Because currently it's, what, like 1 and 2 ratio? Maybe we'll get a couple more, perhaps. Illegal Knight is good, bro. But wait, that's illegal. Lawn chair. This is so ridiculous. This deck is like, it's a problem in the sense that, like, Infernity isn't good, right? Infernity isn't like a meta contending. It's not a meta threatening deck. It's not gonna be like a good, like, broken archetype that everyone's gonna jump on. But it's just like, Infernity is not a fun deck to play against, all right? Infernity is one of those decks that is just like, it's bad for the game, right? Like, you look at the stereotypical boomer takes about Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's like, they just turned this into a special summon, like, Omni-Negate Fiesta, with people dressed as orangutans flipping poop at each other, playing the... And it's like, yeah, that's kind of like what Adamantipator does, it's what Infernity does, it's what, like, all of these different wombo combo decks that just kitchen sink out a bunch of random extra deck monsters utilizing their broken in-archetype multiple special summons in order to facilitate those crazy, ridiculous Omni... negate, extra deck plays, etc., etc. So, Launcher, going back to 3, as an Infernity enjoyer, hey, listen, if we get something like this similar in the TCG, I would heckin' love to try this out. I'm just saying, I do miss playing a little bit of Infernity, but it's a very, very, very fragile glass cannon deck that folds to basically like 1 disruption, 2 disruption. I'll be shocked and terrified to watch Infernity play through 2 well-placed disruptions. And that's kind of like the biggest issue with this deck. So, but that doesn't change the fact that, like, I don't know if they should really be bringing these cards back, regardless of that. Change of Fart going up to 2, going up to 3 from 2 here, which is cool. We've got Mind Control, we got Change of Fart. I don't know if OCG have Snatch Steal. They might have 1 Snatch Steal, but I think it'd be kind of cool to play like a Go Second Stealing deck soon, which eventually after Ramadan, I'm going to start the local vlogs back up again. I do plan on trying to go to locals and playing like a different type of deck as well. I want to play only staples, for example. I want to take 3 copies of Fenrir and 37 staple cards, hand traps, generic things like Change of Heart, Dark Hole, Raigeki stuff. So just see how well you can do with something like that. So that should be kind of fun. We'll see how it goes with just generic link summoning of your opponent's cards, right? Next up, we got newly semi-limited as Ib, the World, the Chalice, Justiciar. I don't know why these cards ever go to, like, 1 instead of, like, 2 and 3, right? Because, like, obviously, like, Halka Fibrax to 1 is massive, right? But, like, Halka Fibrax to 3, it's, like, that's not really ever coming up, right? Like, that's so niche that it's irrelevant that I don't even... But it's whatever. I guess there's right, people care that it's at 1 before it even goes up to 2 or 3 the most. Although jumping up to 2 but not 3 is a bit weird. It's like, oh, wow, you know, we want to protect you guys from the 3rd Ib World Chalice Justiciar. Yeah, so this card's pretty cool. A little bit past its time. I thought this thing would be way more impactful than I thought it would in the TCG when it came back. Because it really is like one of the most broken cards of all time. But somehow, some way... I think it's just because of the fact that, like, level 5 Synchro is, like, too specific for some engines and some decks to really fully utilize the grand capability that maybe it just isn't as good as you would think. But, I mean, it's a crazy card in its own right, you know? It's a float, it's a tutor of a special summon, it's just mucho extendo, and it's also a tuner. Card is very good, so anyway, 2, 3, it doesn't really matter. It's been at 1 for a while, so this doesn't really change anything. This might be the stupidest hit on a ban list of all time. This might be it. This one right here. This officer. This one right here, officer. This one. This might be the most nonsensical, nothing dumb hit ever in the history of this game. It's up there with, like, shooting Riser Dragon to 1. I can't really think of what else, but I'm not sure what this is trying to do. I don't know what the logic is, and I'm not sure what they're trying to suggest this is for. Like, it's perplexing. It's genuinely perplexing, like, what this is trying to achieve. I don't know. Is it because of prosperity? Is it because of extravagance? Is it, like, because of the random banish off of, is it Kashtira Unicorn? Wasn't resolving well enough against multiple SPs. I don't know what it is. I'm not even sure if it's worth discussing. But there has to be logic to it. Like, the people making the ban list aren't, like, completely ridiculously out of touch with the game to the point that they don't understand the difference between 1 and 3. Surely, right? So there has to be something to interpret from here. And the only thing that can possibly somewhat logically make sense is maybe extravagance. I don't know. I really don't know. So, I don't really have much else to comment on this other than why. But, okay. Maybe this really is just like a warning shot. Someone suggested there's like it's like a warning. It's like, hey, listen, we're looking at you. We got our eyes on you. We got our hey, listen, we understand, but we're not ready to do anything about it yet. So I don't know. I don't know. It's for exactly the 3v3 tournaments with a shared card pool. That might actually somewhat be potentially the best explanation and only logical reason as to why this card went to 2 instead of 3. Is that this affects team YCSs, which I don't even think Japan even has official 3v3 tournaments. I think they do, but it's only at the local level. Who knows? I don't know, man. I don't even know. Again, like, this is up there with one of the most useless hits of all time, right? Like, this is like Runic Fountain to 2, for example, right? That happened in, was that OCG or TCG? I think that was TCG. We had Runic Fountain to 2. Yeah, truly suffering out there, aren't they? So, yeah, similar thing with the Kirin. This is a 2 of. No one played 3 of this. Why is this going to 2? I don't know if Japan is in the same situation as us, probably. Where they have like a bunch of decks and archetypes and stuff that Konami printed as their vision for like the World Championship season. And so going into national season, going into the Road to Worlds era of Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2024, they figured that, listen, we want to like let you know that we understand that these decks exist and are good, but also we don't want to hit them directly because we want Worlds to be Fire King, Snake Eye. We want Worlds to like involve these archetypes. That's the only thing that really makes sense here, because I cannot fathom in which universe Kirin to 2 makes sense. I really don't. I really don't. Like, it's genuinely up there. Snake Eye Ash to 2, I mean, this one is like, so compared to like these last 2 hits, this one is the smartest 500 IQ change I've ever seen on a ban list, right? A consistency hit to Ash. Listen, that makes way more infinite sense than a card that was already played as a 2 of, and a card that no one played 3 of. No one. No one played 3 SP. Even in Extrav decks, I don't even know if you'd play 3 SP, but who knows? Who knows? Okay, anyway, Kaiser Coliseum going down from 3 to 2. Just ban it, honestly. I don't know what deck in OCG is playing Kaiser Coliseum. I don't care. Put it to 1, ban it, whatever. Pot of Extravagance. Oh, they also hit the Extravagance. Okay, great. Well, so the Extravagance that's already at 3, that kind of semi-made sense for the SP, is now also going to 2. So, I don't know. Okay, whatever. Tidal going to 1. And Wanted also going to 1. So these are actual, like... This is, like, probably the most logical hit so far that I've seen. This is, like, the one hit that actually makes the most sense. I don't think there's anything else here that's actually a good change. I mean, these are whatever ones. Like, putting these to 3 is, like, whatever. These are, like, very stupid and kind of pointless. So this is, like, the one good change, I think, so far. A slight consistency hit to Snake Eye by semi-limiting Ash, but as well as limiting Wanted, which is obviously better than Diabell Star because it just has the bonus draw attached to it as well. And then on top of that, we've got... There can be only one finally going to 1 over there as well. I'm not sure what their goes and rivalry ratios are. I think it might be similar. But, I mean, these are good changes, I suppose. But that's about it. Strange, honestly, strange. Lots to break down here. Lots to break down. Erratas, I don't think should be a thing. I think if we make erratas commonplace, it's a very weird, slippery slope. And I don't know if I like it. Everything else here was whatever, but the SP Little Knight and the Kirin were just absolutely ridiculous. It's a bit of a nothing ban list in some ways, isn't it? Right? There isn't actually any, like, huge, massive changes here that I think actually will impact the game, except potentially maybe summon Sorceress. But yeah, nothing actually, like, super relevant here. Some consistency hits to Snake Eye, I guess, and that's about it. Let's read the comments. SP semi-limit is actually pointless. Wow, the genius. Someone here must have an idea. One of you. Pot of E users will have a higher chance to banish all their copies. So more RNG and luck for those still using Pot of Extravagance and sacking undeserving players. How does this logic prevail? It's baffling. Why would anyone want to play a game so riddled with luck? Gacha's big in Japan. Oh, it all makes sense now. To them, games are all about luck. Games, luck, life, hard work. West, games, little luck, life, all... Okay, this is getting, like, weirdly political now. Is this strangely erring on the side of, like, cultural fucking, like, debates here? SP to 2 is such an OCG hit. What the fuck is that supposed to do? Finally, only 1 Tikaboo everywhere. SP to 2 is such a big impact in the metagame. Now decks like Maleseverus and Penguins that were held back by this will finally break the meta and bring back a new tier 1 deck to the table. But what a joke. At least Summon Sorc came back. DZ voice, this changes everything. Isn't wanted to one quite a consistency hit? You have to replace it with Diabellstar herself, which would not give you a free draw. Why do people say this Banlist is pointless? Wanted to one was a fine hit. The rest of the stuff is not a good hit. That's the issue. Summon Sorceress is good for the Ibly Lock and Cyber deck. Free Fishboard Blaster. Erratas are so lame. Just make a new card. True. I'm with that guy. I saw the April 1st and thought, is this real? And almost lost it when I saw Summon Sorc. And I guess she locks you into spellcasters now since there's no way to fulfill the condition. It doesn't lock you into spellcasters. It locks you into what you summon. Yeah, exactly. But you are locked, which is the most important thing. Okay, cool. All right. Reaction. I don't know what that is. Let's check out the there's a post here that I wanted to wrap up and put this together here. So we got a Japanese player here saying, to folks in the West, we envy how Konami in the TCG manages your ban list. Konami in Japan has been putting insufficient, timid, irrelevant, out of touch, and out of sync ban lists for quite a while. The cumulative effect of their incompetence is now ruining the entire game. It's always one of those grass is greener types of things, right? I think TCG players look at OCG, see a lot of differences between us and them and think, you know, oh, they have it so much better with this and with that. They look at a lot of our things and they think to themselves, wow, we have it so much better with our changes, etc., etc. It's always just one of those life lessons, I suppose, you can take away from that. The thing that you look at is always better with the other person than it is for you, which is, you know, that's just life, right, for some people. The thing that is interesting to me is that the logic that they're using, I think, isn't really conducive of the fact that they actually have a better, a worse ban list system than us. What I mean by that is they say that Japan is putting insufficient, timid, irrelevant, out of touch, out of sync ban lists for quite a while. So the issue that they have is not really the system of the ban list per se in OCG that this person seems to have an issue with. It's the actual contents of the ban list. And that is an objective truth, in my opinion. I think TCG it does a much better job of OCG in terms of the actual qualitative hits of the ban list. TCG ban list changes are better. They are more impactful, they're usually more relevant, and they're not as fluff-based and, you know, just kind of weird like the OCG hits tend to be. And they actually make sense a lot of the time in TCG. Although, you know, please do not show me shooting Riser Dragon when I'm sitting here bigging up TCG for this, because, you know, we have had a couple of incidents. But for the most part, the actual contents of the TCG ban lists are much better. Much better than OCG. The fact that Maxi is banned over here just blows everything out the water anyway, but even if we ignore that and just talk about recently, all of the actual changes that we get on TCG generally are more impactful and more relevant and important, whereas OCG just seems to kind of just throw a dart at a wall sometimes, it feels like. Now, what I will disagree with is the system of their ban lists. They get a live stream, I think. Don't they get like a live stream? They get like a pre-announced dates. They get like an actual you know, date of when they get their ban list, etc., etc. And they have like explanations on their ban list. Those explanations are usually quite bad and not really relevant and don't really make any sense. But you know, it's something. It's something. People, they're trying. You know, TCG gets a ban list updated on Twitter whenever they feel like it, which is not really fun to be on the receiving end of now, is it? That Konami can just kind of like drop a list whenever they feel like it, and you just have to sort of accept it as, well, I guess we're doing this, and the only way that you have in way of predicting and expecting when that list will come is basically on Twitter and following a bunch of, you know, patterns in the past and a spreadsheet. Of trying to guess roughly when the last year's ban list hits happened, etc., which is why we all think that the ban list for us is going to happen at some point in April, right? Kind of like the same thing that they have going on over there. Generally, the timelines are following roughly the same pattern between OCG and TCG. The only difference is we don't get a set date. It's just like, yeah. So I think that's one of the worst things ever. I don't know why we don't get more communication. That's always been Konami's like worst thing. And as a general topic, this has been really concerning me, because there are other TCGs that are growing and thriving right now. Pokemon TCG sells out their events in seconds, literally seconds. One Piece mentioned. I'm 2 episodes in, by the way, no spoilers. One Piece is doing really well as well. And they have communication, and they have their events with thousands of people attending, and they sell out within literal seconds. So I'm just wondering if there's ever going to be a sad situation where potentially maybe TCG players in the West just straight up are just going to decide enough is enough. That's what I'm worried about. Like, I think, like, listen, if it's upsetting because I feel like this is the best game, Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's sometimes some of the decisions are confusing. They're very confusing. And the banlist handling is one of them. I'm not going to lie. But anyway, that's the OCG TCG breakdown here. Not really much else to say other than erratas are bad. Please stop making this a thing. And yes.